More documents about the Podesta group have been newly released by the State Department and obtained by Judicial Watch. These emails, just these two exchanges, these emails alone, according to the president of Judicial Watch, should be enough for the Podestas to be hauled before a grand jury or worse. The fact that that has not happened, though the State Department has had this information, suggests that there is even more hypocrisy. It's further evidence of the known hypocrisy that is going on with the FBI and their treatment of the Trump witch hunt, people have described it as, and the complete pass that Hillary Clinton, Podesta, and others have received. Look at the release from Judicial Watch, and they give quotes from the new emails. One relates to the Podesta group's work for the pro-Russia Ukrainian political group, the Party of Regions. So this was a known connection, but there is an email that expands on that further, and then there is a revealing exchange with John Podesta, who was still lobbying on behalf of his then brother's firm, or that is how John Podesta tried to portray it, and the entire mainstream media played along, pretending that John Podesta had no affiliation with the Podesta group, which seemed like a bogus claim to begin with. John Podesta formally resigned from the Podesta group back in 1993. Tony Podesta was forced to step down amidst the Podesta group being exposed in this Mueller investigation just recently. So up until very recently, they were saying that Tony Podesta alone ran the Podesta group, and John Podesta, while working with Hillary Clinton and before then Barack Obama and Bill Clinton, had nothing to do with the group, which was a bogus claim. We know these emails further prove that that was a false claim by both Podesta and the media. So let's look at the emails. This was obtained through a Freedom of Information Act lawsuit against the State Department filed on November 20th, 2017, filed after the State Department failed to respond to a September 13th, 2017 Freedom of Information Act request for, they list several things, including all records of communication between any official, employee, or representative of the Department of State and any principal, employee, or representative of Podesta Group Incorporated. Also, all records produced related to any meetings or communications between any official, employee, or representative of the Department of State and any principal, employee, or representative of the Podesta Group, and all records regarding the European Center for a Modern Ukraine. Freedom of Information Act request covers the time frame of January 1st, 2012 through to present. So there are the two main exchanges that these documents cover. The first started on March 28th, 2013. The email from now Deputy Executive Secretary in the Office of Secretary of State Baxter Hunt shows the Podesta Group, led by Tony Podesta, a Clinton bundler and brother of Clinton's 2016 campaign chairman, John Podesta, represented the Party of Regions, a pro-Kremlin political party in Ukraine. March 2013 email to a number of officials, including then U.S. Foreign Service Officer John Teft and State Department Director for the Office of Eastern Europe, Alexander Kasanoff. Hunt writes, see below. I also stressed to them the need for GOU to take concrete steps to get new SBA with IMF and avoid PFC/loss of GSP. Podesta Group is noted among the host of Ukraine lobbyists in the article. I'll forward an article on low side. Ben Chang and Mark Tavlaridis of the Podesta Group, which is representing the Party of Regions, told us they were working with Kalyalev on a visit he plans to make to Washington in early May. So they note that association there. The Party of Regions served as the pro-Kremlin political base for the Ukraine's former President Viktor Yanukovych, who fled to Russia in 2014, the article adds. So they go on, they explain the significance of this, saying like Paul Manafort, who's currently under indictment in the errant Special Counsel Russia investigation, The Podesta Group had to retroactively file Foreign Agent Registration Act disclosures with the Justice Department for Ukrainian-related work. This came out a few months ago. The Podesta Group had to then shut down for being exposed. This was after they retroactively filed the Foreign Agent Registration Act disclosure. They forgot, that's what they're claiming, or for some reason, whatever reason, they didn't file it until they were forced to later. The filing states that the Podesta Group provided for the nonprofit European Center for a Modern Ukraine, quote, government relations and public relation services with the United States and Europe to promote political and economic cooperation between Ukraine and the West. The Podesta Group conducted outreach to congressional and executive branch offices, members of the media, non-governmental organizations, and think tanks. Unlike Manafort, the article adds, and his partner Rick Gates, the Mueller special counsel operation hasn't indicted anyone from the Podesta Group. Podesta is being given a pass for some reason here. The second email, again, this directly contradicts everything that John Podesta has been saying in the mainstream media, going along with Podesta's narrative, trying to distance himself from the heat that the Podesta Group and Tony Podesta has gotten. This exchange involves then Obama White House counselor John Podesta lobbying on behalf of the Podesta Group during a time, again, that he said he wasn't affiliated with the group, in efforts to secure a maintenance facility from JetBlue and Lufthansa for Puerto Rico. In a June 27th, 2013 email, former U.S. ambassador to Germany and current New Jersey Governor Philip D. Murray writes to John Podesta, Minister Counselor for Economic Affairs at the American Embassy in Berlin, Seth Winnick, and others. This email, which reads, quote, JetBlue and Lufthansa are considering 2 locations for a maintenance center, Puerto Rico or Mexico. The governor of PR wants this badly. The question is, can we get to LH at the right levels to make the case? Either John or colleague or John's brother Tony or colleague will get to us with more details. So just that language, I mean, it's pretty obvious that these are the types of exchange that John and Tony are having, basically saying that either brother will be able to set up these contacts through the Podesta Group with the Podesta Group. Either contact John or Tony or a colleague, and they'll get through with more details. So there was absolutely no evidence of there being any separation of John's role with the Podesta Group and Tony's role with the Podesta Group, as they're trying to claim, I guess, to try to get John Podesta off the hook. And the mainstream media was completely playing along with that the whole time. Just look at a couple articles. Very briefly, one NBC article, again back from October 2017, when it came out, when the Podesta Group was being exposed in this Mueller investigation, although they have not faced the same punishment that others have. This NBC News article, they say Mueller now investigating Democratic lobbyist Tony Podesta, and they have to point out, this mainstream media article seems like they're trying to stick up for John Podesta, saying John Podesta is not currently affiliated with the Podesta Group and is not part of Mueller's investigation. The CNN article on the same topic is even worse. They completely try to stick up for John Podesta here, saying how much trouble is Tony Podesta in? And for a long time, when you were searching for the Podesta Group, what was happening with the Podesta Group as they were being shut down, this was one of the first results that came up, this CNN article. And they're trying to criticize Trump, saying beyond being mentioned in the Manafort indictment, it's not clear how large of a role the Podesta Group or Tony Podesta himself will play in Mueller's investigation going forward. Again, this is back from late last year. It's a CNN article. They're just trying to stick up for John Podesta and distance himself from this scandal. Criticizing Trump, CNN says, what Trump seems to be doing in his tweets is trying to wrap Manafort, Tony Podesta, and John Podesta into one big ball of corruption. Then they say, worth noting, while John Podesta helped found the Podesta Group, he is not currently affiliated with it. He was absolutely affiliated with it when he was saying that he had nothing to do with it, to the point where these other groups are saying, hey, just contact Tony or John, it's the same thing. I mean, that's what these groups were openly saying about the Podesta group at the time, when they're claiming that John Podesta had nothing, no affiliation with the group. CNN's trying to play along with that narrative. They say John Podesta is fighting back. They give a quote from his Twitter at the time saying, "Not bad enough." This was John Podesta late last year in response to Trump. Podesta says, "Not bad enough that I was the victim of a massive cybercrime directed by the Russian president," tweeted on Tuesday, October 2017. Now I'm the victim of a big lie campaign by the American president. So CNN closes off saying, "How much trouble is Tony Podesta in? The truth is, we don't know. The Podesta group insists it was under the impression that it was doing work for a nonprofit to educate American government types about Ukraine, not engaging in a stealth image rehab effort for Yanukovych and his party. There's no evidence yet to disprove that." So they're completely trying to downplay the situation that Tony Podesta was in and totally remove and suggest that you were crazy to suggest that John Podesta could be affiliated with the group that he founded. Formally, he says he stepped away from it in 1993, but this email is just one of many pieces of evidence that he's still working on behalf of the group. Clear conflict of interest. So that JetBlue email setting up the maintenance center in Puerto Rico. John Podesta was contacted about this. The rest of the exchange, Winnick then wrote to John Podesta, quote, "Washington alerted us to the advocacy issue and we are on it. Phil will try to connect in the next few days and we will follow up." Later that day, in an email sent to his brother, Tony Podesta and Winnick, John Podesta directly responded, writing, "Thanks, Seth. The governor is a friend of mine. My brother Tony represents Puerto Rico and will follow up with details." Winnick replies to John and Tony Podesta saying, "Happy to help on this one. I think we have the details we need for now from Select USA at Commerce, but we'll come back if any issues arise." Puerto Rico was selected by the airlines for the facility to service in 2014. Judicial Watch, the article closes off the Judicial Watch statement. They say they're waiting to hear for any additional documents the State Department may produce in response to our Podesta Group Freedom of Information Act lawsuit. And again, they have the closing statement from Tom Fitton, which says, "By the standards," or this is from Judicial Watch. I believe the release, it does come from their president, Tom Fitton. He closes off saying, "By the standards of the Mueller special counsel operation, these emails alone would have been enough for the Podestas to have been hauled before a grand jury or worse. The emails are a stark reminder that the Mueller's special counsel operation seems more interested in alleged foreign ties of the Trump team rather than Hillary Clinton and Barack Obama's associates." Clear difference in the treatment that they are getting. Podesta is getting a total pass for some reason, or at least for what we publicly know is going on with that investigation. That seems to be what's happening. I know that there are rumors that there's speculation, there's talk, some evidence, I guess, that there could be more going on behind the scenes, but remains to be seen. Let me know what you think in the comments. If you could leave a like on this video, it's greatly appreciated, and subscribe to the channel. Another reminder, I'm over on patreon.com/realityreader. Thank you everybody that has donated there. Even $1 or $2 makes a huge difference, allows me to keep reporting on these sorts of issues. Patreon.com/realityreader. Also paypal.me/realityreader. I'll add both links in the description of the video, as well as links to the articles. Let me know what you think in the comments. I will follow up soon. Thanks again.